There are many people who say that I don't have a vision, I don't know what I want in my life. And most of the time, the problem is not that they don't have a vision, the problem is something else. So, this video is for the ones who don't know what to do with their life, who feel visionless, or who feel that they are disconnected from themselves. It is not because they are incapable, but because they don't know where to begin. When things are unclear, there are two paths. One is coming back to yourself, and the other one is deliberate exploration. And both of them work together. And let me explain both of them practically. First is coming back to yourself. Now, this sounds very spiritual, but this is highly practical. It simply means start paying attention to how you want to live your life. Now, you're not going to ask the question, what do I want to do in my life? The better question is, how do you want to live your life? How do I want to live my life? Because when you don't know what you want, asking bigger questions only create confusion. So now what you do is shift your focus. Start observing things. How do you usually wake up? How do you spend an average day? What habits stable you while what habits drain you? So, for example, if someone sleeps at 3 am, keeps scrolling all night, eats irregularly, and someone who avoids responsibility, they are not confused. They don't have a stable system. When you come back to yourself, a few things starts happening automatically. First, your habits and routines change. You start building a small structure, fixed sleep time, some movements, habits that doesn't exhaust you. It's nothing dramatic. It's just that you have to be consistent. Now, James Clear talked about this in his book Atomic Habits. You don't rise to your level of goals, you fall to the level of your system. And that's how vision doesn't comes first. Stability does. Second is your values and ethics become clear. When you start paying attention to yourself, you start noticing. Like what you refuse to do even if everyone else is doing it. What you refuse to compromise on. For example, you don't like lying just to impress someone. You don't like disrespectful environments. You don't like work that destroys your peace. Now, these are not just your opinions. These are values forming through lived experiences. Third are your boundaries starts forming naturally. Now, boundaries are not something that you force. Boundaries form through self-awareness. For example, I don't like people who constantly disrespect my time. I don't stay in places that makes me anxious every day, or I don't say yes to everything. When boundaries are made, certain life options disappear automatically. And this is important because vision becomes clearer not by adding choices but by eliminating what doesn't fit. And this is how vision is formed. When you live with certain values, routines, habits, and boundaries, you slowly start understanding what kind of people and what kind of work fits you. You don't find a vision, you arrive it. And this is something Viktor Frankl talked about. Meaning is not something you chase, but it is something that you discover through responsibility and action. The second option is try everything but with limits. Now, this option is about exploration, especially if you are at a young age. When you are at a young age, you usually have a very little to lose and a lot of things to gain. But this is something people mistake. They think exploration means trying every option all at once. And when you try all the things at once, there's a chaos. And that's not what it is. Exploration means short experiments. Instead of saying, I'll do this and this for life, and then you regret years after wasting your time, you just say that you will try this thing for 30 days. For example, learning a skill for 60 days, trying a field through internships and volunteering, working on small projects for 3 months. Through all this, you don't have the fear of failure. You are just going to collect information about yourself through short experiments. So, through these short experiments, you will realize what things excite you initially but drains you later. What feels boring yet satisfying. What you keep returning to even without motivation. Most people wait for passion, but that's a trap. You do it first and then clarity follows. Now let's see how both the things work together. Coming back to yourself gives you stability, standards, self-respect, and exploration gives you experience, feedback, and real-world understanding. And together it answers your biggest question. It's not what do I want to do with my life, but it's how do I want to live my life and what fits that life. And that's your real vision. Now, one thing you need to understand clearly is that vision is not something everyone is born with. It is not a talent or a checkpoint that some reach at an early point or some fail to reach. Everyone figures out their life in their own time. Some people gain clarity earlier, some after trying many things, or some maybe after failing, restarting, or maybe even slowing down. That only means life unfolds differently for different people. Another thing you should understand that is vision is not something that once arrived, it allows oneself to relax and fall back to their old patterns. It is not like exams are over, so we don't need to be disciplined anymore. Whatever you will gain through this process, values, habits, boundaries, emotional awarenesses, experiences, all these are not temporary tools, but they are meant to be carried forward. Because vision without character, it collapses. Also, growth does not mean rigidity. Certain perspectives may deepen, certain choices might change, or certain beliefs may shift. Even certain paths may be redefined. And that is normal. Your foundation remains, but flexibility allows growth. Your goal is not to find a vision. Your goal is to keep living consciously, building boundaries, respecting personal values, stay open to learning, and keep redefining that direction. Life is not figured out at one particular moment, it is shaped continuously, and that's how clarity lasts.